Welcome back to another review of Just Roll It Already. I'm Daryl, and today I'll be taking a look at Shadows of Esteren Book 2, Travles. Book 2 is a supplemental book that expands Book 1 universe and paints a better picture of the setting. This full-color hardbound book is intended for game leaders, and with it brings rich game aids as well as a small bestiary. This book is divided into 5 chapters, and the game leaders will find it very useful. The first chapter of this book, titled Cartography, begins with an in-character description of the peninsula under the notes of Alderfirt, where he goes into details on places of note and gives a brief but precise description of each area. This section fills in the gaps left in the first book while leaving room for interpretation for game leaders. This entire section is worth a read, and it gives a lot of inspiration for encounters and making plots for your stories. Another thing this chapter does is it gives rules on traveling on the land and sea. Along with the introduction of stern marks, this adds a new dynamic for role-playing and stories. The sailing section provides helpful information on the lore, superstition on sailing the waters of the peninsula of Travles, and it goes into more details about the legends of creatures and sailing superstitions on the coast. Chapter 2, titled Canvases, has a few short adventures that game leaders can use. They are written in a loose manner so that game leaders can adapt them to what they feel is good for their games. These 5 stories are focused on different themes and are structured into 5 parts. These segments are called Roots, Trunk, Branches, Leaves, and Wind. The best way to describe them is to compare them to the Frey tag analysis of Exposition, Rising Action, Climax, Falling Action, and Resolution. The stories themselves are well written and are rich with many good ideas for running games in case you are not prepared. The third chapter is a small 3-act campaign titled A Life's Choice that can be used to give a better insight for game leaders of what people view the world as mysterious circumstances. This campaign can be good for cutting your teeth on running longer games using this system. Now, this 4th chapter of the book covers Figures of Travles. It supplies you with pre-generated characters and gives you tips on how to use them in your games. They can make great NPCs, or they can be copied in case your players don't know how to make them or don't have time to make them. They also go into dark magic that can be used by players, but after reading it, it felt it was more intended for NPCs rather than players. The final chapter of the book is a much-needed bestiary. It gives you a variety of creatures that can be used, both mundane and supernatural. Though there are not many creatures that can be used, there is a lot of information that can give you inspiration for your games. Just by reading it, I had a few ideas on encounters and stories and how to use them. Overall, my honest opinion of the book is that it's a very good addition to Shadows of Esteren. It shows much promise for the upcoming line. Reduction value is on par with the other books that have been released so far, and it holds a lot of information on the game for game leaders. It fills in the gaps of the setting from Book 1 and leaves a good amount of room for game leaders for creativity. I am hard-pressed to find any negatives about this book other than the $40 price tag for a 200-page book. It is a good addition to your collection if you're a fan, but it's not absolutely necessary like all Splat books. If not for anything else, the setting information is worth the entry price. If you have anything else you want me to talk about or even review, drop down in the description or send a personal message. I'm Daryl, and thank you for listening to this review. Hopefully you found it useful, and I will see you later.